I'm Sarah Gardner. We're going to take you to Los Angeles for one of our stories this time. It's all about harmony in the classroom, but we're not talking about students getting along with each other. We're talking about a program to make sure one district's musical instruments are all in tune.
Parents of school-aged children look to testing to help determine just how well their kids are doing in school, but educational testing in California has changed dramatically. I'm Jim Finnerty. We'll take a look at what smarter balanced testing means for students.
It's lunchtime at this California school, but you won't find processed food on the menu. The focus is on fresh, local ingredients at a surprisingly affordable price. I'm Christina Salerno. We visit a district that has taken school lunches to a whole new level. It's all coming up on Inside California Education.
Funding for Inside California Education is made possible by, since 1985, the California Lottery has raised more than $30 billion for our public schools. It's a modest amount after dividing it up to California's 1,100 public school districts from kindergarten through high school, as well as community colleges, UC and CSU campuses. Still, these funds help attract quality teachers, provide classroom equipment, and keep art and music programs alive. With caring teachers, committed administrators, and active parents, every public school student can realize their dreams. The California Lottery. Imagine the possibilities. The Stewart Foundation, improving life outcomes for young people through education. Additional funding for Inside California Education is made possible by these organizations supporting public education.
For many young people, extracurricular activities are some of the best things about heading to school every day. Maybe they play on a team, or maybe it's drama class. But taking part in band or orchestra means a school needs instruments. And what happens when those instruments need repair? Well, let's take you to Los Angeles, where the school district decided a little loving care was needed to create just the right note in the classroom. High school senior Marco Mendez began playing the trumpet in the 6th grade after he lost interest in playing soccer.
I tried playing soccer, but I never really enjoyed it. I just did it to please my family because that was something that they were like, oh, my son plays soccer, yeah. So I just did it because of that.
Playing music, however, gave Marco purpose and discipline.
I never really had anybody to look up to because nobody in my family is into music. So I actually have people to look up to now. I would look up professionals and I would hear their play. And then that's what made me, because I would ask my teacher, how can I get that good? Why don't I sound that well? And then all he would tell me was practice.
The Los Angeles Unified School District has one of the largest music programs in the nation. Thousands of students, from elementary through high school, participate in a wide variety of musical groups, like orchestra, marching band, and jazz band. Senior Esteban Lopez also plays at Thomas Jefferson High. He says excelling with the tuba has improved his self-respect.
Not a lot of people do play the tuba. They might play an instrument, but they don't choose the tuba because the tuba is like, I always feel like it's underrated. They don't know that a tuba could do lots of stuff. A tuba could do what a trumpet could do. It could do what a trombone can do. You just put the hours into it and they'll sound fine.
1, 2, ready.
Many of the youngsters in LA schools, however, come from low-income families that can't afford musical instruments. To help students make music requires the district to make instruments available.
Our school district, throughout its lean times, has still maintained a commitment towards making sure that we have those instruments there, on top of being able to have kids have access towards music programs. So for the taxpayers, I say, listen, keep these kids connected, and give them a sense of future and belonging. Help them to find their way through anything that's positive. And we know that music has this long-term effect.
Everyone can't speak another language. Everyone can't play a musical instrument. And to be able to succeed in that capacity allows students to believe, I actually can do this. And when they sense that they can be successful in this area, then you know something? In other areas, I can learn that and be successful in that as well.
But instruments wear out over time, and sometimes there are accidents or rough handling. When instruments require some tender loving care, they end up here, at the district's musical instrument repair shop. Every year, some 8,000 brass, woodwind, or percussion instruments will pass through the shop.
We have a large variety of instruments, anywhere from your basic flutes, piccolos, to your stand-up basses. We have grand pianos. We have some really good grand pianos, some worth $85,000, $150,000.
A piano will come in here only if it needs a lot of work. You know, if it needs a lot of work that the repair cannot be done at the school, then we will transfer the piano here to work on it for a couple of days or weeks if that's needed, and then we will send it back to the school where it belongs.
The district's repair shop has been operating since 1960, primarily as a cost-saving alternative to contracting with private companies.
One thing that taxpayers should know, you get a lot of bang for your buck when you have the work done in-house here. What we are able to do, even when we outsource work, we're able to get economies of scale. We can get those instruments repaired really quickly. We know with our technicians, when they repair them, they know that they go into the hands of the students, and we get to see them in the Rose Parade, different venues such as playing at Dodger Stadium.
In recent years, however, the budget axe has fallen, cutting the staff by half and creating a backlog of work. When the lack of working instruments began affecting the operation of the music programs, management got involved.
LAUSD is beginning to invest more in the music repair shop by adding more staff, adding more support, because it is recognized you may have a great music teacher in the classroom, but without the instruments, then it's all for naught.
Not just anyone can apply to be a musical instrument repair technician. These are considered highly technical jobs.
These people learn this particular craft by, working with a repair technician through an apprenticeship program.
These musical instruments seem to embody a circle of life. Initially, they help one student find self-worth, bolstering a child's overall success in school.
So as I'm playing my chromatic scale going up, like I'm not so sure of myself that I'm going to be able to hit that note. And when it comes out, it's like it's a sense of nostalgia that you just get. It's like so happy, like when you're just opening a brand new present or something. That's what I feel. I feel so happy that I actually hit that note. I feel accomplished.
Not everybody gets a free education, and not everybody gets like a free instrument to actually practice on. So I'm really grateful for that. I love this program.
When the student moves on and leaves the trusted friend behind, the instrument is then rehabilitated, ready to help the next child succeed.
Without providing music for LAUSD children, you wouldn't have classic groups like the Platters, who came out of LAUSD, the Penguins with the song Earth Angel, the Coasters. You wouldn't have will.i.am of the Black Eyed Peas. You wouldn't have the Red Hot Chili Peppers or Los Lobos. You wouldn't have these titans in the musical industry who have charted just a forward direction in music without the experience they gained in K-12 education in LAUSD.
Music education can be traced back to the singing schools of the early 1700s in New England. These singing schools helped students develop their musical skills for church. In 1838, the Boston School Committee added music to its school curriculum, becoming a model for other public school music education programs throughout the country.
Any discussion of education in California these days will include something called Common Core State Standards. The nationally developed standards were created to address what high school students would need to meet college and career readiness. And to make that happen, a new style of testing was required. How might it affect you and your school-aged children? Well, let's take a look at testing when it comes to this new approach in education. Focused on students in kindergarten through 12th grade, Common Core is a set of educational standards in math and language arts. A majority of American states began implementing the Common Core state standards beginning in 2012, replacing a patchwork of academic standards that varied from state to state. The goal? Ensure all students graduate with the skills to succeed in college, career, and life, no matter where they live. Common Core asks students to demonstrate their critical thinking skills in reading and writing. For math, the focus is on real-world problems. But not every state adopted the standards, and some states have dropped out. There have been academic and political criticisms, with some calling it a plan to nationalize education. There are a number of aspects to the Common Core approach. Smarter Balanced Testing is one of them.
The first time I took it, I didn't like it at all because it was very hard.
They told us it was definitely going to involve more thinking outside of the box.
8th graders Riley Stewart and Sabrina Tosh are talking about Smarter Balanced Testing, a new and significant element of student assessments aligned to the Common Core state standards. Both are students at Elk Grove's Harriet Eddy Middle School. Previously, California students took annual standardized exams called STAR tests. The multiple choice, pencil and paper exams helped determine how well students were performing. With Smarter Balanced Testing, annual assessments are done on computer. There are online tools, and teachers can also check a student's progress with additional online interim assessments that precede the annual tests.
The STAR test, I was so used to that having a big change was different and challenging. Before we had this testing, the question we always ask is, why do we need this? Why are we learning it? And now that we have it, they give us real-world situations, so we know why we're using it and we know why why we need it.
It's not just, I'm going to give you an equation and you're going to solve it. It's more, I'm going to give you this worldly problem that you might face in the future, and you're going to have to use the equations that you've learned to solve it.
Stanford University's Dr. Michael Kirst has been instrumental in California's transition to Common Core and the new testing directions.
It is a more precise measurement of what students know. And so when you give, for example, the feedback to parents as to where their students are, you can really give a much more accurate reading than the older forms of testing.
In California, the Smarter Balanced assessments are given to students in grades 3 through 8 and again juniors in high school. The idea is to determine what students should know and be able to do at each grade level in reading, writing, and math.
I think that the inquiry base, the problem solving that's involved, I think all of that is going to improve. With English, we've been using the terms like the text-dependent questions and a lot of the skills associated with the exam. The students, they like the computer part of it. They like using those skills, the cross-curricular connections that are being made just very organically, that are happening, like I said, with that example in my classroom. That was exciting for me as a teacher.
The English Common Core test I really liked. I thought it made a lot of sense and it was pretty easy to follow, but I struggled more with the math one, mainly because I'm more of an English student. But the math one was a little bit harder for me because I had to read it a couple more times to interpret it.
Rockland High School senior Caitlin Silva says another significant difference in the Smarter Balanced assessments is something called computer adaptive testing.
The computer adaptive format means that a student answers a question, and based on their response to that question, the program selects the next question for them.
What it means is students obviously are taking the test on the computer, but as students answer a question, the next question for them gets harder if their answer was correct, or gets easier if their answer was wrong. And what that allows us to do is zero in on a student's learning area so we can get a much more precise measure of student knowledge.
As you might expect, the significant changes in teaching and testing brought questions from parents and students. Dorothy Haynes' daughter, Trinity, wanted to know more about Smarter Balanced assessments. Dorothy attended parent information meetings in Elk Grove, even reviewing online pre-tests with her daughter.
Because especially for the math, it's not just knowing the content, but how to maneuver and use the website. And for example, for the math, they had a online calculator that they needed to use. So it was very different than using paper and pencils.
The shift to computer-based testing has not happened without problems or criticism. Some say students face too much testing, and technical or internet glitches have prompted some states to abandon such testing altogether. Education writer John Fensterwald says California's experience has been much more positive. He points out, however, it is a definite change from the past.
Primarily, it's an online test. That is new for a lot of students, particularly in districts that had not had a lot of computers. It required computing skills that some students hadn't had.
In the spring of 2016, 3.2 million California students took the Smarter Balance tests. Of those, just about half, or 49%, met or exceeded proficiency standards for English language arts. Only 37% did so for math. The California Department of Education says the state is still making the transition to the new standards and assessments.
These are different standards. These are much harder in many respects. And so, particularly for English learners and poor kids, there are significant gaps. And I suppose they're more honest and truthful about the status of education in California.
Testing results in the future may alter both Common Core directions and smarter balanced assessments. Adequate instructional materials and teacher training continue to be important in discussions on Common Core and smarter balanced testing.
It's going to take a while for our frontline personnel, which consists of 300,000 teachers and 10,000 or more administrators, to grasp this and to do it. You don't know early what's going to happen, so you adjust and try to continuously improve. And so our mottos on Common Core, Smarter Balanced, are patience, persistence, and humility.
They're just one component of a comprehensive assessment system that school districts and schools have. Teachers are assessing kids daily. We use other assessments throughout the year, and the Smarter Balance does provide us a summative and some formative tools to look at student learning and to make comparisons around how our academic programs perform, not just in an individual school or classroom, but throughout the state of California and throughout the nation.
Although computers have been used in schools since the 1960s, these were no modern laptops. The Vocational Education Act of 1963 provided federal funds for new technology, like mainframe computers that used punch cards for inputting information.
Coming up on Inside California Education, we'll take you to a school lunchroom with some of the freshest ingredients around, how this district left the traditional food supply chain and came up with its own model.
But first, a little Education 101. We asked, how does California rank when it comes to per pupil spending?
We have increased our per pupil spending since the recession. The recession was a terrible blow to public education in California. We had 30,000 teachers laid off, class sizes mushroomed, got bigger, science was put on the sidelines, art and music and drama were put on the sidelines, civics was put on the sidelines. So we've seen a restoration of some of that funding, but even that being said, we're about 45th in the nation in per pupil spending. And for a state of the wealth and capacity of California, with the creativity and innovation economy that's here, how could we be 45th in the nation? To me, it's a disgrace. It's not where California should be. It's not where we were historically. Just looking at a few years back in California, we were spending about $8,000 per pupil. New Jersey, New York, and some other eastern states were spending $22,000 per pupil. Idaho was spending $15,000 per pupil, twice what California was spending. We've been a leader in education, and we need to come back in not just being a leader as we are in the national science standards and some of the other creative programs we're putting together, but a leader also in prioritizing spending for education.
School lunches are constantly evolving with more focus than ever on nutrition. But one school district in the Central California town of Turlock has taken the healthy approach one step further, serving foods that are also grown locally. School officials hope that the healthy eating habits started at school will last these students a lifetime. This may look and sound like a typical processing plant. It's actually the fresh fruit and vegetable packing room at Dutcher Middle School in Turlock. It's where they cut, package, and prepare healthy snacks for the 14 campuses that make up the Turlock Unified School District.
We probably do 5,000 to 10,000 servings of this a day out of this site, and then we'll get them out to the sites, and that's gone, and then we'll start over the next day.
While many school districts have made student health a priority, Turlock has gained a reputation as the gold standard, not just meeting federal school nutrition guidelines, but exceeding them.
And I just knew that we were just not serving our children well. So we created a branding program called Real Fresh, and I thought, I'm going to create this program. It was just a great program to guide us into the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Real Fresh takes a new approach to food-related decisions. Anything processed was out, and in came the grass-fed meats, whole grains, and fresh fruits and vegetables, all while keeping in mind what kids like to eat. So that means they still provide the pizza, hot dogs, and mac and cheese, but they make them healthier.
Our main goal is not just to serve kids a meal. We want them to have a meal that they're going to eat. That, it doesn't matter, it does nothing for us if it ends up in the garbage.
They've also found that when kids have a say in what they're served, they're more likely to eat it. So students here get to pick their own snacks, and they also provide feedback on the menu.
We go out to the different schools and we sit and have lunch with the kids, and we talk with them on various days and find out, why don't you like the tamale, or do you like the tamale?
Kitchen staff says it takes about 6 introductions to an entree before their young consumers decide whether they like it or not. And as you might imagine, the road to healthy lunchroom success has not always been smooth sailing.
There was some revolt. I mean, the kids loved their Pepsi and they loved their pizza pockets and those fried burritos that were 36 grams of saturated fat.
Now their burritos have only 3 ingredients: tortillas, beans, and cheese. And the kids love them. Along with other healthy lunchtime favorites, they now find at their fingertips.
I think it's delicious, and I didn't even take a bite of the chicken yet.
Some fruits make you feel better. That's why sometimes I eat some apples and carrots and other things that are healthy.
One might expect these healthy foods to cost a whole lot more than conventional items, but it's surprisingly affordable. Nationally, food makes up about 37% of a school's lunch budget, with labor, supplies, and other costs making up the rest. In Turlock, food for the Real Fresh program makes up about 45% of their lunch budget. That's only about 8% higher than the national average. Turlock has kept costs reasonable by focusing on locally sourced products and ditching the traditional school food suppliers for those who will sell to them in bulk.
We left the school market and we went out to the commercial market and sought out what was happening in Trader Joe's. Well, we saw that they had a great product there. Well, where'd they get that? They were happy to sell to us because we're buying 5,000, 6,000 servings at a time.
Buying in bulk and eliminating the middleman makes a difference. Soyseth gets these drumsticks directly from Foster Farms for 31 cents each. That's less than half the price of processed nuggets, which are 72 cents each and are shipped across the country. Cutting and packing their own produce saves money too. And what they're ending up with is a fresher, healthier product that's fueling a community where nearly 50% of school-aged children are obese.
We have overabundance of fast food retail or just convenience stores with unhealthy options. So when children come to school and receive a wonderful meal like they are receiving here in Turlock, it makes a difference for their life.
School officials hope that these school lunches will lay the groundwork for a lifestyle of healthier living by sending an important message.
School lunches can taste good. Healthy food can taste good. Salad is good. Fruits and vegetables are good.
And that's a message this young group of consumers agrees with. What they can't agree on is which healthy option they like best.
Apples, salad, and corn, Watermelon and grapes. I have two. Macaroni and then the mini hot dogs and nachos. So like a whole bunch of like healthy fruits. Grapes, carrots, and bananas.
That's going to do it for this edition of Inside California Education. If you'd like more information about the program, just log on to our website, insidecaled.org. We have video from all of our shows, and you can connect with us on social media as well. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Inside California Education.
One, two, 1, 2, 3.
Funding for Inside California Education is made possible by, since 1985, the California Lottery has raised more than $30 billion for our public schools. It's a modest amount after dividing it up to California's 1,100 public school districts from kindergarten through high school, as well as community colleges, UC and CSU campuses. Still, these funds help attract quality teachers, provide classroom equipment, and keep art and music programs alive. With caring teachers, committed administrators, and active parents, every public school student can realize their dreams. The California Lottery. Imagine the possibilities. The Stewart Foundation, improving life outcomes for young people through education. Additional funding for Inside California Education is made possible by these organizations supporting public education.